Hello to all of you today. We will present our case study analysis of moral situation number 16. The moral situation is an example of a case involving academic dishonesty. However, while analyzing it, we realized that the case is a much more complex issue than somebody cheated. We were forced to think about what it means to be honest, what justice looks like in this type of situation, whether or not someone has good intentions when cheating, how peer pressure can influence a person's actions, and ultimately, if the individual who committed the act has lived up to their own moral standards. Thus, in today's presentation, we will describe the details of moral situation, apply the moral reasoning tools that we have studied in class, and finally, explain which decision would align with Catholic morality.
We begin our case with an easy-to-picture scenario for any teacher. A teacher accidentally leaves a copy of the next day's test sitting out on their desk, and another student finds it. The student then quickly snaps a picture of the test and sends a picture to a group chat of all students who are currently in class. Before you can say anything, the entire class has test questions ahead of time because of the group chat. Because of a group chat that we're in as well, and instantly have the test questions. This places us in a very tough spot. On one side, we know that cheating is wrong. However, on the other side, everybody else in the group chat is also already participating in the cheating, so there's a huge amount of peer pressure placed on us to either remain silent or possibly view the test questions to stay in sync with the rest of the group.
However, there's an additional layer to the situation. We are uncomfortable with the cheating. We also have a past with the student who took the photo. He bullied our friends last year. Therefore, one part of us thinks that we should report the cheating because it is what we believe to be the correct behavior, whereas another part of us says he deserves to get in trouble regardless. This creates a conflict between our intentions. Intentions are very important when making moral decisions. Therefore, the issue is no longer just because cheating and or if our motivation for reporting is to seek revenge or if they are clean.
That's why the situation is so morally difficult to decide. Regardless of which route you take, there is a significant amount of importance that will be lost. If you decide to report the cheating on your part, you could potentially be viewed as snitches by your classmates. You may also face social exclusion. If you don't say anything, then you're going to be going against your personal beliefs and are participating in an unethical behavior. If you confront the student about their actions privately, it could create conflict or you could be intimidated. This leaves us with the question of how can you make a decision for what is morally correct when all of the options have negative outcomes?
Before we begin analyzing this issue, we will apply the three parts of morality as follows: the object or action part, the subjective or intention part, and the situational or circumstances part. Objectively, the action is just that, the action itself, reporting cheating or not reporting cheating. Reporting cheating would be an act that violates the principles of dishonesty and fairness. Therefore, reporting cheating is always the right thing to do when someone cheats. If every other person in the classroom is cheating too, thus, an act of cheating never becomes the right thing to do. Reporting cheating creates an obligation on your part to take responsibility for the actions of others when you know they are cheating as well, as creating a situation where remaining silent could potentially be seen as participating in the behavior of the cheater. Thus, reporting cheating is a good moral action.
Why do we take action? In Catholic morality, the second component is the intention or purpose for which we act. Our intention is very important when it comes to Catholic morality. It makes sense that our intentions are good if we turn someone in for cheating, and doing this was because we wanted to defend the integrity of the test, fairness, and honesty. However, we still have an element of revenge in our heart. This is due to the fact that the person who cheated has bullied one of our friends in the past. Therefore, there is a part of us that wants the person to be punished. Thus, we create a moral conflict. A good act will always have a bad intention, which will corrupt the moral nature of the action. Therefore, in order not to be acting in a moral, complete manner, we need to purify our intention and ensure we are not trying to get revenge.
Circumstances are the third component in the analysis. The circumstances are the teacher was unaware of the cheating. The entire classroom had access to the test and potential social consequences to the student if the cheating is discovered. Circumstances create an unfair playing field for the students who do not wish to cheat. While circumstances do not change whether an action is right or wrong, they affect how accountable we are for our actions and how severe the violation may be. In this case, the circumstances add complexity to the issue, however, do not justify doing something wrong.
Outcomes and alternatives. Following this, we are thinking about all the other possible results for our decision. If we decide to tell on the cheating, there are several possible outcomes. The teacher finds out and possibly takes action against the student who sent the picture. The whole class would probably have to retake the test. Additionally, the other students might act negatively towards us because they think we were involved with the cheating. And they might treat us differently, or there will be a tense feeling in the classroom.
We allow students who cheat on their exam to have an unfair advantage over others in the class when we do nothing. We are allowing someone to benefit from a grade that they did not earn. The trust students have for teachers will be broken whether or not the teacher is able to determine which students cheated on their exam. Lastly, we would also know inside that we let something bad happen and we were just passive observers of something that's not fair.
Another option would be to address the violation privately and tell the student that he should self-report. While this may seem like an intermediary solution, it will most likely fail because he has already broken school regulations and distributed the test. Additionally, asking him to admit his violation places additional pressure on you. He can just deny it or become confrontational.
Considering the various outcomes, it's apparent that there isn't an easy outcome. Nonetheless, morality isn't necessary about determining the easiest choice. Instead, it's determining the right one.
First principle of practical reasoning and morality. The first principle of practical reasoning is straightforward. Perform acts of goodness and avoid acts of evil. Cheating is morally wrong. Therefore, by allowing cheating when you could have prevented it, you will be conflicted in the evil of cheating. Reporting is the act which is a prevention of evil.
The first principle of morality states, goodness is to be pursued and evil avoided. In addition to preventing participation in wrongdoing, this principle requires that one actively promotes what is good. Reporting on cheating fulfills both requirements, as reporting is an act that seeks justice and truthfulness.
8 basic goods analysis. Let's take a closer look at the 8 basic goods to see how cheating does more than harm just your grade. The first is knowledge. The act of cheating clearly violates the good of knowledge because you are replacing your honest efforts for the work to learn by being dishonest. The second is the good of friendship and sociability. Trust and honesty are required to have true friendships. The act of cheating causes damage to both trust and honesty. The third is the good of religion and moral truth. We as Catholics believe that truth is an essential part of who we are as a person. The act of cheating is considered a type of deception. The fourth is practical reasonableness, or using good judgment to make reasonable decisions. If I were to remain silent about the cheating that occurred in the class, then my actions would be contradictory to what we learned as our moral principles.
In addition to damaging harmony with others, cheating will damage the harmony of the classroom itself. When dishonesty enters a classroom, there is no longer any trust among classmates. In addition, cheating will cause internal turmoil, such as guilt, anxiety, etc. If you continue to remain silent and do not report the dishonesty, therefore, when we examine the basic goods, cheating can violate many basic goods simultaneously. Therefore, reporting the cheating can assist in restoring the violated basic goods. Now, we will use the principle of double effect to determine if the action of reporting the cheating is good, or at least acceptable. Reporting cheating is a good in that it promotes fairness. However, it is also bad as it causes the student who committed the cheating to receive a penalty. In order to justify an action that has both a good and a bad, there are 4 requirements. The action itself is either good or neutral. Reporting cheating is good. The intent behind the action must be good. We report the cheating because we want to achieve justice and not vengeance. The good result must occur independently of the bad result. Justice does not result from punishment, but from telling the truth. There must be a proportionally adequate reason for performing the action. Cheating negatively impacts everyone in the class. Because the above 4 criteria may be met, reporting can be justified on the basis of morality. There it is.
Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism focuses on maximizing happiness and minimizing harm. Under Act Utilitarianism, we look at the single decision reporting benefits more people than it harms. The class, teacher, and academic integrity all benefit. Only one person faces consequences.
Under rule utilitarianism, we consider general rules. A rule like students should not cheat clearly leads to the greatest good. A classroom where cheating is common would be chaotic and unfair. So both types of utilitarianism support reporting.
Kantian ethics. Kantian ethics are about doing what you should do, duty, and about obeying universal moral laws. This is in part why Kant developed his categorical imperative. He says that when deciding how to act, you can only act according to rules that you think would be good for every person. Should you want a world in which cheating is permitted? No, because if cheating were permitted, then there would never be an educated population. Would you want honesty to be a universal law? Yes.
In addition to adhering to the categorical imperative, Kantian ethics say that you have to treat others as ends in themselves, not as means to your end. When you cheat, you use your teacher and classmates as mere instruments to achieve your own selfish goals. In violating their dignity, you deny them the respect they deserve as people. By reporting your classmates cheating, you respect their dignity by being honest with them.
Final Catholic moral analysis. The Catholic perspective on ethics, as you've seen through the application of our natural law, first principles, double effect, utilitarianism, and Kantian models for ethical decision making, are clearly in alignment. The right action would reveal the cheating, but it would have to be done with the proper intentions.
As Catholics, we cannot act from a place of revenge. Rather, we must act on love and justice and to uphold the truth. As Catholics, we are called to do what is right even if it's difficult. So, our final conclusion is this. The most virtuous decision is to report the cheating and restore honesty in the classroom. Thank you for listening.